reason the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference is crucial is the combination of those words. Christians need to learn how to fight, they need to learn how to laugh, they need to learn how to feast.
The next Reformation, what will it look like? Probably a lot like what we're seeing here at this particular conference.
We need to say what the prophets said and do what the prophets did.
Jesus has said, every square inch is mine.
We need to be more combative than we are. We need to be more cheerful than we are. And we need to be more given over to celebration. The joy of the Lord is our strength.
As in all things, we start with the Word.
We need to use our entire toolkit. And I think that a lot of Christians, there are certain tools that they haven't traditionally used.
Jesus, when dealing with spiritually dangerous things, Jesus tells the truth in hard ways. He used a serrated edge.
We're on a field of battle, and we fight until the King relieves us of duty. And if we have him with us, we really cannot lose.
When we're fighting, we're singing, much like the Israelites as they sent their choir out in front to lead their armies into battle with song.
The rules of engagement have got to be defined by the dictums of Christ.
The world is asking all kinds of questions, and we've got the answers.
We need to look like the church described in the Scriptures, which is a church that despairs of its own competency and lays hold of the grace and the mercy of Christ.
God put dragons in the world so that we could fight them, and we should fight dragons with shouts of joy.
I want to hear Fight, Laugh, Feast on 3. 1, 2, 3. Fight, Laugh, Feast!
Masks don't work. Masks don't work.
And what's new?
Lockdowns don't work.
Yeah, that's been proven.
We should try again.
We're getting into a Biden 2020 he's going to be president.
What?
You've given up hope.
You've given up?
No, I'm not giving up. I just think that
you've given up.
I'm giving up. This is just where we're going. Hey, we got Dr. Jay Richards coming on the show. If you guys remember, we had Jay on the show back in our first year in the business.
I would like to see a show of hands. How many of you remember the first time Dr. Jay Richards was on the show?
That's right.
Well, no one.
There's like two people out there.
Actually, the people that we have in the studio, one of them just started listening 3 months ago, so he would have no idea
who Jay is. But Jay is the reason why we have such a big audience now. It all started with him.
Thanks,
we got the J bump.
The J bump.
The J
That's
bump.
like 10 more people.
Right.
That's where we're at.
We're really appreciative of that, especially since he's Roman Catholic.
Hey guys, welcome to Cross Politic. Pastor Toby Chalk Knox, and I'm still President-elect Waterboy. Good to be with you.
Does Biden know? Does Biden know that you're?
I haven't ceded the election to him yet. Although I think that I'm probably going to do it.
Are you going to give your speech pretty soon?
Probably. We should go up to like the Capitol, the steps of our city hall and
just do a concession speech.
Yeah,
it actually took off on Twitter when you were talking about who your cabinet was going to be. That went everywhere. It was like Steve Days, David Bonson. That's actually
my cabinet was building pretty well, and then Virgil Walker. He's like, I asked him to be I asked you to be my diversity
chief or something,
chief or whatever. What do they call him?
I had to decline because of conflict of interest.
And then you tagged Virgil Walker,
right?
And then Virgil Walker's like, I want to be your Secretary of Education,
right?
And I was like, hey, that's good. I like Virgil.
Are you going to cancel public schools?
So I should have asked him that.
Yeah, that would be
that's my litmus test.
Like, are you going to put yourself out of a job?
He's watching. Virgil, somebody tell Virgil. Let's ask him the question. He can come on and talk about what he's going to do.
Hey, Virgil's a club member.
Is he
a club
really?
member?
What?
Wow.
Yeah,
Virgil.
Yeah,
man, I love that brother.
Hey guys, make sure. Speaking of club members,
speaking of Virgil,
join the club.
Like Virgil.
Why don't you want to be as cool as Virgil Walker from Just Thinking?
That's it. That's all. Right. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, just be as cool as Virgil.
And this past week, there's been a bunch of people sign up for our magazine.
Yeah.
And this one guy signed up for our magazine a couple times to send it to other people.
It wasn't a mistake.
It wasn't a mistake.
No.
And
This has been your plan all along.
This has been my plan all along.
He was like, guys, like he came in and he pitched this to us, and the first thing he said was like, and here's the thing, what they're going to do. They're going to sign other people up.
And we laughed at him.
And
we did. We laughed at him.
And it makes me laugh. I'm like, send the magazine to your friends, man. Your friends need this magazine.
Your pastor. You're like, I don't know where it came from.
Yep. Yeah. Just walk back into the crowd. Sign up.
Somebody gave
put
me
that
this for
person.
you?
Put your pastor's address in there. Put Tim Keller's. I want Tim Keller to get like 100 magazines, so he can't miss it. So you guys just send it out. Grab.
Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, and put Democrat Tim Keller in the address.
Mark Dever.
Yeah, Mark Dever. All right, and what else I have? Oh yeah, download the app, and then here we go, Toby. You go.
Okay, is this the part?
This is
the
you. This
part
is where
I go?
you're allowed to talk. This is my show today. I hope you guys know that.
Apparently.
All right.
Introducing the brand new Fight Laugh Feast New St. Andrews College Scholarship beginning in 2021. We lined it
under
up
a Biden administration.
Yeah, we lined it up to begin with Biden's presidency.
That's right.
Because who doesn't want to go to New St. Andrews now that Joe Biden is the president? And Kamala Harris is VP. In the interest of promoting hard-hitting, thoroughly biblical education for life, Cross Politics Studios is very excited to present the Fight Laugh Feast Scholarship for qualified first-year students who have been accepted to New St. Andrews College. This scholarship will fund almost half a young man's annual college tuition. Because Cross Politics particularly wants to encourage young men to grow up, have backbones, take responsibility, be tough, do hard things, knock down idols, this first scholarship is specifically offered to qualified young men. It's also because we like being politically incorrect. Our goal is to offer a similar scholarship for women in the next couple of years. Stay tuned. How to be considered for the Fight Laugh Feast Scholarship. Number 1, apply to New St. Andrews College.
That's important.
You got to be accepted.
And
We ain't going to look at one application until you're accepted.
Don't write us until you have the letter in your hand that says you have been accepted. Then you can write a short essay, about 1,000 words, explaining why you are the man to receive this scholarship. The essay should be thoughtful, good-humored, manly, and well-written.
Manly.
The essay should include reasons why you believe a New St. Andrews College education will equip you to live for Jesus and defy the enemies of God. You need to send that application to us by February 1st. Contact at fightlaughfeast.com.
Is that right? Contact at fightlaughfeast.com.
Send it by February 1st, okay? So the Cross Politics crew, that's us, Gabe the Waterboy, Chocolate Knox, myself, we will review all applications, and if there is a worthy applicant, we will schedule an interview with the top 3 candidates, up to 3. And then we'll announce the winner of the scholarship on a Cross Politics show sometime in April.
Looking forward to that.
And then if you graduate from NSA, we'll have you probably on the show, actually, for kind of
no.
You did not talk to us about that. This might be your show today, but we did not approve that.
We don't do that.
Cross Politics guys did not approve that.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Anyways, the scholarship is for full-time matriculating first-year males as defined by God and old-fashioned biology at New St. Andrews College because they know biology better than the Supreme Court.
That's right.
The scholarship is contingent on remaining such a student in good standing. So you have to remain full-time, matriculating, and male.
That's important.
You got to remain male.
All the way through. Right. And living like a faithful Christian in our community and not being a fathead. The scholarship will be revoked at any time by the Cross Politic gods. Again, that's us. Should a young man prove to be unworthy of this honor. So apply to New St. Andrews, get accepted, and then apply for the Fight Laugh Feast Scholarship so that you can get up to almost half your tuition covered for the first year.
So back in March, Fauci said...
Ooh, that was such a long time ago. 3 years ago?
Masks don't work for the general population.
Right, yeah. Dr. Fauci.
So did the WHO said masks don't work for the general population. The CDC
said
masks don't work for the general population.
Still has it on the website today. You can read it today. It's buried in a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but it actually says scientific studies do not show that there is any kind of substantial...
the problem is with government education, reading is kind of a problem. So
you have to read all the way into the middle of a paragraph.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah,
who does that these days?
If it's not
middle,
shorter than 240 characters, that's all we got. Okay.
And then the CDC also said back. Actually, the CDC now says, now as of November 5th.
Number 5th.
You remember how the whole thing with asymptomatic.
Yeah, that's been a problem for everybody to figure out.
I remember back in March and April when we were getting the lead on the narrative on our show.
Okay.
We had to explain a lot of things to a lot of people, and I remember one of the things that kept coming back to me was, but you don't know if asymptomatic or if you're asymptomatic or not, and if you're causing
whether
the
you're
spread,
contagious or not.
Well, or if asymptomatic causes the spread, and people who have asymptomatic who have the coronavirus but are asymptomatic are causing the spread. You don't know that.
Right.
you could be a walking around,
Killing people.
COVID bomb,
You'd be
right?
killing people.
Right?
COVID bomb.
Yeah.
CDC said in November 5th, this is my show, right?
I see. You go ahead and play
This is my
it.
show.
I'm just going to chill out here. You just do you.
The CDC on November 5th says COVID-19 can be spread by people who do not have symptoms and do not know that they are infected.
Okay. That's what the CDC says now.
It says now. That's November 5th.
Okay.
That's why it's important for everyone to practice social distancing. Where did social distancing come from again, guys?
High school.
Oh,
right?
High schooler in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. CDC's referencing unscientific
Yeah,
studies.
because I get all my scientific
From high schoolers.
from high school girls.
And so that's why social distancing and wearing masks in public settings is important. So CDC says that. Fauci.
They said like kind of like it's a curse word.
He did actually.
Fauci. He disagreed, or at least did disagree with this.
That seems to get lost in that question is that, as Bob said, and I agree, we would really like to see the data, because if there is asymptomatic transmission, it impacts certain policies that you do regarding screening, et cetera. But the one thing historically people need to realize, that even if there is some asymptomatic transmission, in all the history of respiratory-borne viruses of any type, asymptomatic transmission has never been the driver of outbreaks. The driver of outbreaks is always a symptomatic person. Even if there's a rare asymptomatic person that might transmit, an epidemic is not driven by asymptomatic carriers.
Fauci out.
I'm with Dr. Fauci.
I'm with, whatever that Fauci was.
Right.
I'm with him. Because now he thinks masks work for the general population.
This is the problem when people are your gods.
Yeah.
When people are your gods, they're fickle.
Yeah, that's right.
They're capricious. They're random. They change their minds.
That's right.
Right? It never works.
So this past week, I kind of went on a little Twitter raid after I declared myself president-elect.
Twitter raid?
Twitter raid. Tirade, Twitter raid. Was that good? Again, this is my show, my terminology.
You're a dog-faced pony soldier.
Go ahead. You're King George today. Go ahead. You're King George
today.
I finally watched this, by the way.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Now I get it.
Was the song good? Did it tie in?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Ridiculous.
And so I found this map that just basically is just mapping out all the green states are the maps.
Did you color this map yourself?
No, I didn't.
Since you're president-elect?
No, I should have just scribbled all over it. All the green states are the states that have mask mandates right now. Okay. All the yellow states are the states that have some sort of, either local mandate or something going on.
Some restriction.
Yeah, some restriction of some sort.
Oh, my goodness.
What's the red state?
Is this America I'm looking at right now?
What's the red state
That's
there?
Kristi Noem.
That's right. South Dakota.
Man,
South frickin' Dakota.
The freest place in America.
God bless Kristi Noem.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And then let's go to this map.
Okay, let's go to this map.
Okay, this is the American.
Did you color this one?
I didn't color this one either.
Where'd you get it?
I got it from.
Doesn't matter. You can make it up.
Yeah, I could.
That's what presidents do. They just make stuff up.
Fauci.
You can make Fauci.
This is a map of all the states where the surges are going right now. A lot of these mask mandates started back in July.
Right.
Yeah.
Back in July.
Right.
Here we are, November.
Okay.
Look at all the surges.
Right. The masks.
Let's go back to this one more time.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to.
Okay, wait.
Let me repeat this. All the green states
have mask mandates.
And all the yellow states have some sort of restriction.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go back to this now.
Wow.
Okay.
Wait.
Look at that.
Where's South Dakota?
Where's South Dakota on there? They're surging.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, they are in
SD.
there. Okay.
You see SD.
Yeah.
They're one of the red.
But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
They're surging.
If you have a mask mandate, it didn't help.
Yeah.
One
more time here.
There's something that this map is not pointing out, though.
Okay.
Every one of these places that have some sort of mask mandate or that have some sort of restriction, go back.
Yep.
And everybody's in the same situation still, right?
Yeah.
Except there's a difference.
Okay.
The one place that was red, South Dakota, still has their freedoms.
Yep.
That's true.
That's
exactly
the
right.
massive difference between everything on this map you're seeing.
Right.
Everybody's in the same situation.
We all got to go through it.
You can't run from this. It's impossible.
This is what Dr. J told us.
You can't run from this.
So you can either go through it with your freedom,
or as a slave.
That's right. Now,
and do you think? And before you go on, because I know this is your show, can I have a minute?
Please go ahead.
You ain't gonna get them back.
Right.
They're not coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
This is set up for them to keep steamrolling down the road. Right. So,
and as our interview talks about this later, Dr. Jay Richards brings this up later.
And the reason, though, is, God made the world such that you can't begin to reason in a certain way. Even though people are not using reason, they are reasoning.
Right.
That's right.
And you can't use your reason in a certain way and then apply breaks that you have already said don't apply.
Right.
So you can't. There is no logical reason why you can't have where you do not require mask mandates now every flu season.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. Well, before can
one more time.
Okay,
one more time.
Okay. Do you think
you only get one more?
Okay, only one more. Doggone, I better make this one count. Do you think that they're going to start mandating masks and not forcing or mandating some sort of vaccination?
Right. Why would they not?
They're already starting to figure this out for the airplanes right now. They're figuring out
they're also going to mandate sweaters if the temperature is below 50 degrees.
Yeah, well, why not?
There's absolutely no reason why not to.
I'm going to steal this one.
Yeah, you stole it.
But then, what do you think is going to happen to universal health care when we start getting that with Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Do you think that if I have to pay for your health care now,
Joe Biden's going to neuter you? He's like, no more Christian kids.
Well, it's not I was thinking that was a joke, but it's not far fetched. China's doing it already.
China already does.
They've already told you how many kids you can have.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're telling you what you have to. We're legislating what you have to have on your face.
Right.
We're legislating who.
Right.
Go ahead, Gabe. I better
All
stop.
right. And then I tweeted out this map. Okay, Colorado. When did the mask mandate happen in Colorado? When did it start?
July 16th.
July 16th.
And then it was extended.
Yep.
It's been
the 12th.
Right.
And then it's September 13th. And then October 11th. Then they extended it November 9th. This is the definition of insanity.
Well, this is what idolatry does.
Yeah, doubles down.
This is what you do. When you worship false gods, they make you stupid. And they make you stupid to the extent that you keep serving them, even though they're killing you.
Yeah, that's
even though
they're taking away your freedoms.
They're maiming you. They're destroying you, and you keep serving them more.
Can I just jump in real quick again?
Yeah,
I'm gonna steal this. My second one. I'm gonna steal. Can I just say what you said?
You're a free man.
What you just said was amazing. I was just thinking about. I watch a large amount of news because that's part of my job. No one ever talks about the religious undertones in what's happening right now.
Right.
I just want to take the moment and say, this is why you need to become a Fight Laugh Feast Club member. What we are dealing with is a religious problem.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We are dealing with a religious problem, and we have idolatry. And because we have such a horrible form of idolatry, we are being enslaved to the point that we can't make sense of this right here.
Right. Yeah. And mainstream media are the acolytes of this false religion.
That's right.
They are constantly preaching to you about what is morally right, okay for you to say or not to say. And this is why you're getting censored on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and told, no, you may not say this. And they're preaching a false gospel to you, which is a gospel of if you just obey the state.
As a form of neutrality.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not religious. It's not religious.
Right.
Hawaii. When did their inside mask mandate start?
April 20th.
Yep. Outside.
July 7th.
When did the spike happen?
Wait, outside mask mandate?
Yeah.
So they did it inside, and then they did it outside, and then it spiked.
Yeah.
Like massive spike.
Masks.
Kansas. This one cracks me up.
Oh my goodness.
This one cracks me up. July 3rd, the mask mandate started.
Oh my.
All right. And then the health inspector came out August 5th and said, hey, look, the mask mandate worked. That's what exactly.
You don't normally get an organ, but go ahead.
The health inspector's like, look, my mask mandate worked.
No, it didn't.
I'm going to justify my mask mandate.
Okay.
So August 5th, and then what happened?
Oh, you don't know.
It spiked.
It spiked.
Masks don't work.
No, they
Thank
don't.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you done.
All right, West Virginia.
Going. Okay, well,
when
bring
did
it
the
on.
mask mandate
West
start? July
Virginia.
6th.
July 6th.
I'll answer my own question.
Okay,
July 6th.
Okay.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
When did the spike happen? Look at all those spikes.
Right after that.
Even the dips are a spike in the SMAT.
I don't know. If I didn't know better, I would say that the mask mandates made it worse.
I want to go to a country now.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Philippines.
They started their mask mandate back at April 2nd.
Right.
And they're like North Korea when it comes to their mask mandate.
Okay.
I mean, they're like shoot you if you don't wear your mask?
Not quite shoot.
Okay, they right under North Korea.
But they'll arrest you.
Shoot you with the paintball gun.
Yep.
Before South Korea, they right
a BB gun. April 2nd. Okay? And look at that.
I mean, if you
look
cut
at that chart.
If you cut it off at like May 30th, you could maybe squint and say, well, maybe that helped.
Hey guys,
it didn't help.
They crushed the curve though.
Francis Fukushima. What is wrong with France?
Don't use his name in vain. Come on.
What is wrong with France? I got all the, you see all those droplets just spewing from my mouth?
Yeah, you need a mask.
Aerosols.
When aerosol, I had real droplets though. March 17th, look at that, full national lockdown.
Right.
And they're like, hey, look, it worked May 10th. No, they actually did a mask mandate.
No, they locked
May 10th.
down. They do the mask mandate.
May 10th.
And then they have fines for not wearing masks July 20th.
Yep.
And then immediately, it's almost like God says, as soon as you start getting really stupid,
it's gonna spike.
I'm gonna dump it on you.
It's gonna spike.
You know that God is the one who sends plagues.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And what God did with the COVID is He took this little virus and went, think.
Yeah.
And look at the world.
At one point,
At
one point, half of the world's population was shut down.
But this is a plague. This is a plague of insanity.
It is.
This is not like we haven't had sicknesses before. This is a different kind of plague. This is one of complete insanity. Did you just see what just happened here? Like
and panic though.
And panic. Right.
And you
the price of panic.
Yeah, but it's like God says you're scared of these things, so I will send more of the plague on you to make you more scared, to make you more stupid.
Ugh.
This is what happens.
And so real quick,
we don't have time to go to this one, but we save it for the third segment. This is a very important video on masks, talking about how they do not work. You do not want to miss this. But first, we have to take a break, and then we're going to come back with Jay Richards.
Yeah,
and then
he's going to make Knox really mad.
Oh my goodness.
Just get ready.
More cross politics.
Fun. It's kind of fun when Knox gets mad.
Don't miss out. Coming up next. Funny when
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.
I'm ready. Okay? I'm ready. This is a different morning for me.
It sounded like something was dying.
I know. It's like a cat. Somebody ran over a cat or something.
Oh, someone got COVID in the room or something.
Welcome back to Cross Politics. This segment is brought to you by, I don't know what.
One hat. Let's do one hat.
All right, one hat. That's how we do it here. There we go.
It must be nice to be a
One
sponsor.
Hat Technology.
There we go. Look them up. Hey, with us on the line right now in the flesh, in the Skype flesh.
In the Skype flesh.
Is Mr. Jay Richards, Assistant Research Professor in the School of Business and Economics at Catholic University of America.
I'm surprised he still got a job.
Excellent. He's the Executive Editor of The Stream and Senior Fellow at the Discovery Institute, where he works with the Center on Wealth, Poverty, and Morality. He's author of many books, including New York Times bestsellers Infiltrated, Indivisible, as well as Money, Greed, and God, which
great book
was why we had Jay on the first time back
4 years ago.
Like 4 years ago, we interviewed him about that book, Money, Greed, and God. Also, The Hobbit Party, which I'm really intrigued about. The vision of freedom that J.R.R. Tolkien got and the West forgot. He is the author of this one of the authors of the brand new book, The Price of Panic, How the Tyranny of Experts Turned a Pandemic into a Catastrophe. And we are grateful to have Jay back on Cross Politic. Thanks for joining us again.
Great to be with you guys.
So put COVID-19 in context for us with all the other viruses and pandemics like of the last century. Without all the other hysteria, how bad is it?
It's about like the Hong Kong flu of 1968, which anybody that's alive probably doesn't even remember that happened. So about 1 million attributed deaths worldwide to Hong Kong flu. If you go back a decade before to 1957, 58, you've got the Asian flu. We think that was about 2 million people, but remember that's 2 million in a much smaller population. And so that's why we think it's about like the Hong Kong flu probably. There was no planet-wide panic. There were no population-wide lockdowns. Economies didn't shut themselves down. It was about like that. The problem is that the kind of initial computer model that shut down the world assumed it was as deadly as the Spanish flu, which killed maybe 40 or 50 million people. But based on that assumption, it terrified everyone. And then we decided to implement this policy of population-wide lockdowns, which had actually never even been tried. So we responded to something before we really understood its risk. And then the tool of choice is something that had massive secondary costs that didn't have anything to do with the pandemic itself.
So if this is something we've never tried before, never been done, why? Why now? Why do we do this?
It's essentially a hypothesis sitting in the bowels of public health bureaucracies waiting to be tested. We tell the story in the book. It started actually, again, as a speculative model by a high school science student in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yep. I'm not making it up. The New York Times broke the story. Yep. Her dad works at Sandia National Labs, and she wanted to see, well, what would happen if you did lockdown to affect the spread of essentially the flu virus in her school. And so, of course, in the model, she assumed the lockdown would work, and that's how models work. They tell you what you assumed in the model, and so they give you what you told them to say. And her dad found that intriguing, so he and another scientist and his daughter actually co-authored an article in the CDC journal. It's worked its way through the bureaucracy, and it effectively ended up being, okay, maybe this is how we need to respond, as opposed to a quarantine where you isolate the known sick and infected, and then you do sort of special protection on the people that are at risk. Just shut everything down, and the idea is that if nobody's moving around, then they won't be able to spread the virus. And so it was an untested hypothesis, and just kind of waiting for the next pandemic in order to try, and that's what we got in 2020.
You know that was under the Bush administration.
Yeah, I remember that part.
It was under exactly.
I read it. I read it, Gabe. I read the book. Yeah. I always read the books.
Yeah, but I knew that before the book.
Jay, I'm actually I can't even talk. I'm so. Help me understand this. With randomized control testing, we get multiple tests in a situation. Are we really basing our lockdowns off of one situation in a high school? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's not. So it's not just the high school. That's where it started. What it is it's speculative models that assume this. We absolutely don't have random controlled trials for something like this. It'd be almost impossible. It's a lot of things like this sound crazy, but this is one of them. The other thing that's crazy is that the guy that is in charge of global health policy, the Director General for the World Health Organization, is a member of the Ethno-Nationalist Communist Party in his native Ethiopia. So the guy's a communist. I mean, it sounds like this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but there are several of these things that, I always tell people, look, you're just going to have to Google this and not trust me because it sounds too crazy.
I'm going to go make myself a foil hat right now and just sit here for the rest of the interview.
I'm getting a tailor-made one for myself.
Well, have you seen Joe Biden's his first act as president is to try and get a handle on the coronavirus, and he has like 7-point list. Have you seen that list at all?
Oh, absolutely. I sure have.
So then are you freaking out at all when he talks about reconnecting with the WHO and getting them back involved again?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. I mean, we know that the World Health Organization was carrying water for the People's Republic of China. The Atlantic magazine reported that. So this isn't just me saying that. They spent 5 or 6 weeks saying, first of all, oh no, there's no human-to-human transmission, and then it's not a big deal. We would have been nice to have known what was happening in China in January. That could have given us some crucial data. And then the World Health Organization and Director General Tedros, he glommed onto this Imperial College London model, which is why that it's kind of got the significance that it had. It should have been ignored. Instead, it was treated as if it was sort of rock solid science. It was a speculative computer model, assumed an infection fatality rate of 3.4%, which we very quickly knew was just not true. And so it was just one series of mistakes after another. And so this idea that we're going to now sort of reattach ourselves to the World Health Organization after President Trump wisely has distanced us. I mean, it's basically every element of the Biden plan is depressing to me, quite frankly.
So the title of the book is Price of the Panic. My question is, so you wrote this. I mean, I don't know when it went to when you sent it off, but like your statistics kind of end in like May or June. It's been a few more months now. Surely the price has gone even higher. We now have, Chicago going back into lockdown. We got New York City going back into various kinds of lockdowns. We
California
got regulations on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, can you summarize, what has been the price of this panic, and why doesn't anyone seem to care?
Yeah.
Well, the reason no one seems to care is that we treated this as a one-sided risk. So we assumed that the only danger was deaths from the coronavirus, and we didn't think about the fact that, responses have risks too. Like if you chop your head off to get rid of a headache, that's a big cost. And so that's the problem. And so we treat it as this something in which almost anything that we can do is going to be worth it. As it is, the lockdowns cost us about $1 trillion a month. So at least those first 3 months, every single month, $1 trillion. Wow. We know we have 41 million new jobless claims from those initial lockdowns. Some of those have returned. Tens of thousands of businesses that were destroyed that will never return. So at least 75,000 excess deaths of despair. So above, that is suicide, drug and alcohol overdose, above what you would expect statistically. So that's fully attributed to the lockdowns. Probably 80,000 missed cancer screenings just from that first 3 months, and that's just cancer. Then add heart disease and everything else that people get sick of and die from. You very quickly actually add up the cost just in terms of human lives. You end up with as many people killed from the lockdowns as attributed to the coronavirus itself. That's a massive cost. And as you say, of course, it's still going on. We had to sort of stop our number calculations with the data we had in the middle of the summer, but we were able to project, given what we knew, what the likely long-term effects of this were going to be.
Wow. This makes me so angry. I don't know how you're probably in the middle of it more than I am, but every time I try and say that to someone and trying to communicate that to someone, it doesn't seem like that seems to shake them nearly as much as COVID-19. That doesn't seem to get any headway. Like, I can't seem to get their attention with this. Why isn't that working? And I guess my real question is, how is it that we were able to allow the government to get us to this place where we would allow such a thing to happen and give up the liberties that we have, that we hold so precious, to even get us to this place right now?
Well, I think the way we got to this place is, first of all, there's a whole story about the public health bureaucracy, because this was not a matter of science speaking and us responding. There were scientists across the spectrum saying, look, this is a bad idea. We don't know enough about this. Don't lock down. But you have a few officials in the public health bureaucracies that have a really disproportionate amount of power to influence what politicians and prime ministers and presidents do. So that's part of the story. The way we got here, though, is that it was a public health crisis. And if we had been told, the government told us, you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church, and it's for your own good, right? None of us would have complied with that. No one, left, right, or center, would have done that. Instead, we were told, okay, this is a virus, and a lot of people will carry it asymptomatically, so you might be fine, but you go to church, right, and you sneeze, and the old man in front of you catches it, and you'll kill him, right? So essentially, it was a kind of a moral jujitsu in which our own proper concern for other people is effectively used against us. And so it's a really, really powerful tool for getting populations to comply.
Jay, it seems like you're really just, what you're describing is kind of a people who's kind of morally weak, and a people whose rationale is weak as a country, as a nation.
Yeah.
I mean,
how
do we get out of that?
That's definitely a factor. How do we get out of it? The other thing is that, the reality is we're social creatures. And so once we get into a panic, we have a hard time using our reason. That's really the problem. And so this is why these kind of statistical arguments don't work. We recognize past social pandemics. Everybody hears about the Dutch tulip craze and different things like this. But the real work is to be in the middle of a social contagion, a social panic, and to be able to recognize the signs of it and then work your way out. And that's the problem, because of the power of social media, because of the power of media to be amplified by social media, and the media's motivation just to panic us, it's worked really, really well. And so, I honestly thought by November, this would be after action conversation. What's happened, though, is that fully half the population is still absolutely terrified. At some point, if, say, 75% of the population says, okay, enough, then I think it has to end. But as long as a majority of the population are willing to comply, it could go on who knows how long.
In your book, you talk about some of the other countries that didn't do lockdowns, didn't do these draconian measures, and they statistically often did better than the countries that did those lockdowns. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then again, why are those statistics making any headway with anyone?
Well, I can say, we do a lot of detailed statistical analysis in the book, and we think we show fairly decisively there's no sign in the case curves and death curves for any place that government-imposed lockdowns made any difference. You just do not see any signal in the noise from government-imposed lockdowns. The irony is if you look at all the countries and all the states, as you said, actually the places that did lockdowns tend on average to do worse than the ones that didn't. Now, we're not saying that proves causation. Right. It's just that, but you can't say there's causation the other way if there's not even correlation,
exactly
right?
That's right. Yep.
And then you've got, of course, East Asian countries like Taiwan, where my co-author Matt Briggs, he was locked down in Taiwan the whole time we were writing the book. He got trapped there. Japan, Vietnam, these countries did not have lockdowns like we had in the West, and they didn't suffer many deaths. Now, I do think that East Asia seems like they might have had some pre-existing immunity because they just did better than everyone else for whatever reason. But then you have other countries, we think like Sweden, for instance, which people say, well, it had worse per capita deaths than its neighboring Norway, which is true, but it had lower per capita deaths than its neighboring Belgium, which had draconian lockdowns. It's better off than the UK, which has had draconian lockdowns. Right. We think the one mistake Sweden made is they did not focus enough on the nursing homes early on. They didn't really realize how risky it was for elderly people. And so if you look, most of their deaths are in the nursing homes. So we honestly think, all things being equal, the best response that has the lowest cost and the highest benefit is going to be one that lets most people live their lives and make kind of private judgments about their risk and really focus public health resources on the most at-risk population, which happens to be the same population that's not in the workforce and not in school.
Is that what you mean in the book when you talk about choosing freedom over central planning?
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is we don't think that there is nothing whatsoever that any of us as individuals can do to, say, reduce the risk of catching something. I mean, obviously, we all adjust ourselves. If we hear, there's a bad flu season, I'm at risk, I'm going to do. So, but notice we're using our local knowledge in that case, right? We know exactly what our situation is. And so what we suspect is that the minute people heard about the coronavirus, people adjusted accordingly. And then a couple of weeks later, in many places, you got these government-imposed lockdowns, and then they don't make any difference. So the imposed lockdowns, these kind of centralized responses end up being all pain and no gain. But the claim's not that just there's nothing whatsoever we can do. It's just that it's the kind of thing that's governed mostly by local knowledge, and then the cost of this centralized action, it just ends up being hugely costly and not at all beneficial.
Do masks work, Jay?
Well, the word mask is just too vague to even be able to answer the question. Let me put it this way. The stuff we're doing, most of us, probably makes no difference, right? These surgical masks in which they're not fitted to your face, they're not blocking aerosols. They're not going to do anything. If you've got a properly fitted N95 clean mask that, fits your face and you don't have a beard, it's going to probably reduce the likelihood of transmission. But that is completely unrealistic for 99% of the population. And so that's why even the World Health Organization this time last year said, no, masks for the general population, there's just too many variables. There's no reason to assume that would work. And there's even kind of weird trade-offs. If you've got a dirty mask, for instance, you wear a mask for an hour in a bad room, right? You've been sort of filtering the air. And so in some ways, the riskiest surface in the room is the outside of your mask. And we all know perfectly well what we're doing with these masks, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's hygiene theater more than anything.
Wow, yeah.
Hygiene theater.
And virtue signaling, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go deep into the woods here, Jay. Don't get mad at me for this, but
all right.
The way that we've been able to maneuver a large portion of the world, do you think that COVID-19 is helping usher in the Great Reset?
And we end the book talking about some of these things, and I honestly think, first of all, the Great Reset's a real thing. It's another one of these things that I thought this has to be made up. Nope, right. It's real. Yep. I would put it this way, is that the people that would like to control the world are watching very closely what works, right? They know perfectly well there's certain things that people would just not put up with. I've got one of my best friends is Swiss, and the Swiss are very protective of their personal freedoms. Americans are generally very protective of our personal freedoms and their freedoms of association, and yet look how almost everyone complied with almost no objection. Everyone's going to notice that. And so what I think is likely to happen is that public health emergencies will be the tool of choice in the future for controlling populations.
Jay, what do we do? I mean, you give us this book, and you feel like you. I mean, I'm kind of like Knox. I'm not maybe quite as worked up as Knox yet, but he's about to get me worked up. And it's like I want to go do something. I hate the fact that my freedom's been taken away. We got lied to. We got conned. So what do we do?
Well, I really do think that it's still in the hands of the public, because the truth of the matter is, first of all, in Wisconsin, for instance, a judge just struck down what the governor was doing there.
For the second time.
Almost no governor. Yeah, the second time. Governors have about a 30-day window for the most part for emergency powers, in case there's an alien invasion or something. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
They're months out from that, though, and the problem is that churches aren't doing anything about it. Other groups here in Washington, D.C., for instance, I'm so angry that, the Archdiocese has not objected. It fell to Capital Baptist Church and Mark Dever in D.C. to finally say, this is ridiculous. I'm going to challenge the city, and they're winning. But the truth of the matter is that should have been happening from the beginning, because they're all in very shaky legal territory. And the reason is because a lot of people are just still scared. And so that's why we thought we got to write the book and talk about it to persuade people. Okay, look, this is a real virus. It bears some risk, but what we're doing makes absolutely no sense, and we've been conned. Once a large enough segment of the population believes that and starts acting with respect to kind of legal responses and public responses and appropriate levels of defiance, then I think that, at least in the United States, it will just have to end. But we're not there yet.
Well, of course, if you're Mayor Bowser, though, that doesn't apply to you. Right.
You can go to Delaware and come back, and it's essential travel.
Absolutely.
All right, last question I got for you is, I know you're Roman Catholic, but what about the other authors? Was this an ecumenical job, or is it just is it just Catholics coming out?
Is this just a papist book?
We need to know.
Yeah, exactly. We tried to hide that. Yeah, so Briggs and I are Catholic. Briggs, I'm actually a Catholic convert. Briggs, I think, is a lifelong Catholic. Doug Axe is actually Baptist.
Good.
Wait. What kind of Baptist? What kind of Baptist?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he considers himself Southern Baptist, but he's in California, so I don't know what, to discount that.
So no Presbyterians wrote the book.
I know.
Where are the Presbyterians?
Come on.
We'll work on that.
You said tulip earlier.
Hey, Jay, I want to have you back on.
That's right.
We want to talk maybe as Biden gets in office, kind of what you think the future is going to be there. Talk about that a little bit maybe next time when you come on the show. Price of Panic. Jay Richards, thank you so much for joining us. Cross Politic. You got to get this book. It's phenomenal.
It's great.
More Cross Politic coming up next.
So in 2016, we found out that our youngest son, Asher, had cancer. And I will just never forget crying in the lobby of the hospital on the phone with the Samaritan Ministries person on the other end who was, who ended the call saying, let's just pray about this.
When it does hit you and you really wonder what's going to happen, it worked.
It continues to be affordable, it works, and it pays the bills.
I appreciate Jay.
Yeah, he's on my list of favorite Roman Catholics.
Yeah,
favorite papists.
You have a list?
Oh yeah.
How many on the list?
Well, G.K. Chesterton, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah. You're running it for me. Dang it.
What's our boy
Anthony Esselin?
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite. He's my favorite living papist.
I thought you said Anthony Fauci. I was like,
no,
what?
Anthony Esselin.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
sorry,
and
Anthony.
Jay Richards, you're now on the list. Got it. You're on there. But anyways, guys, the Price of Panic.
Got to get it.
Got to get it. And
no one's talking about the collateral damages that are going on.
Well, and
it's unbelievable.
Anytime you bring it up, you're a heartless utilitarian because all you care about is money.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
And one of the great things that he points out in the book is that we are not comparing money to lives.
Right.
We are comparing lives to lives. The problem, of course, is
right.
when we disconnected. The whole we left the gold standard behind. We live in a country that thinks you can just print money on demand.
Wait, you can't?
Because no, you can't.
Oh.
No, you can't. You can't.
Does the government know?
Well, you definitely can't.
No, but
the government can.
But usually it's called counterfeiting.
Oh, okay.
Unless
the government counterfeits.
The government.
Uncle Daddy does it.
Yeah, right.
You follow that logic.
Yeah. Anyways, but the thing is, just let me finish. Let me.
It's his.
Let me finish.
Is this his segment?
This is my
show.
You can have it next. I will give it to you in a second. The thing though is that you have when you disconnect it from real value, that it sounds like all you're saying is comparing lives to money. But money is a measurement of human production.
That's right.
It's a measurement of human life.
You better say that,
right? So we're not being crass utilitarians. We're not being Mammonites or whatever. We're saying basically the lost wages is lost time. It's lost family.
It's
lost children. It's lost health care. It's lost all these things. It's lost life.
It's not.
We're comparing life and life.
And it's not just that we've disconnected with the printing of the money. It's not just that. What happened is really start with the family, because money, economics, ekonome, comes from family. It's house law, right?
Yeah.
So
you
if
you should do some Greek in here.
I'm doing some Uncle Gary up in this joint. God and government,
just speaking in tongues.
And so when you mess up house law and how the family runs and operates and the values of that and what they produced for sale to trade with, then all of a sudden, money has no value anymore.
Right. That's really good.
And so it connects all the way out.
That's a long conversation, but that's so true. When you kill the value of the family, that is the beginning of cutting the legs out from an economy.
Absolutely.
That is really good.
Because that's what drives it.
Thanks for connecting that up.
Okay, Toby forgot this. Make sure you guys download the app, and we're also on the Edify network too.
Yeah.
So,
EDIFI.
Edify Network. Yeah. How about that?
So what's nice about the app, especially like if you watch this show on the app, there's a bunch of links inside the notes that you can go to from the news stories that we're talking about, and some of the ones we might not actually get to that we say we're going to do.
We didn't.
But you can click inside there and get to those news stories, and you should get the daily news brief. That thing is so valuable.
We're doing it every day. We're trying to give you Christ-centered news with truth to it.
And we were trying to build a full news outlet, a news media outlet that is completely unashamed of the Word of God, that wants to see all the idols fall, just wants to tell you the truth about what's going on in the world.
And I'll tell you, just my prayer request, this is a big one, but I'm praying for 100,000 club members.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I didn't
have 100,000 club members. We want to build a base of troops.
Yes.
Amen.
To quote Stalin favorably.
What?
Stalin said, I just need 5% of the population. And that's what we think. Who's running our show right now? Who's running the U.S. right now?
You know what?
5% of the population is running our show.
That's true, but
LGBT is running our show. There's only about 5 million. There's only about 5 to 6 million LGBT people in the U.S. and they're the ones getting Obergefell. They're the ones getting Obamacare. They're the ones getting transgendered civil rights. 1964, 1965.
Instead of Stalin, I prefer Gideon.
I was thinking more like Jesus with the 12, but that's okay. We can do Gideon too. I just said Jesus just needed 12 people. That's all.
All right, that's the only time I'm ever going to quote Stalin favorably.
Can we edit that part out?
Babylon B has this is my favorite headline of the week from Babylon B, and it says "Evolution in Action?" ? This baby was born with a mask on his face. They got a picture of this baby with a mask on his face.
Not in a democratic state.
All right.
That baby wasn't born at all.
So we just got done our news segment, and then Jay, we were talking. One of the things that in our news segment, masks don't work, and then Jay talked a little bit about it too. But one of the hilarious things in all this is, even though we're mandating masks in certain parts of the world or in our city has a mask mandate. State of Idaho doesn't. Although I wouldn't be surprised if our governor
it's probably going to come.
Might be coming. They're mandating masks, and they're all wearing cloth masks. Like that's the dominating mask that everyone's wearing.
Bandanas, pieces of random fabric over your face that do nothing.
I got a little science. For you, if our side is allowed to have science, are we allowed to have science?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, just listen to this.
Well, a randomized peer-reviewed study published in the BMJ looked at the efficacy of masks to prevent viral infection in hospital healthcare workers in 15 different hospitals. The participants were randomized into 3 groups. One group wore medical masks at all time on their work shift. A second group wore cloth masks at all time on their shift. And a third group, the control group, was allowed general practice.
Free people.
Which included occasionally wearing a mask or not wearing a mask at all. Here's what the study found. A percentage of healthcare workers in all groups contracted infections, but the participants wearing cloth masks had significantly higher rates of infections than the participants wearing surgical masks.
Whoa.
In fact, healthcare workers wearing cloth masks were 13 times more likely to experience viral type infections than those wearing medical masks. Now, here's what's even more shocking about the study. Not only were the rates of infections higher in the cloth mask wearing group than the medical mask group, the rates of infection in the cloth mask group were significantly higher than the people in the control group who were allowed to occasionally wear a mask or not even wear a mask at all.
Wow.
Please listen to that again. This real-world setting, peer-reviewed study found that you are more likely to contract a viral infection by excessively wearing a cloth mask than not strictly wearing a mask or wearing no mask at all. This is not to say that a mask cannot be helpful in acute situations, but being advised to wear a cloth face mask could be outright dangerous. The researchers found that the penetration of cloth masks by particles was almost 97%, and medical masks about 44%.
It's not good.
The medical masks didn't do particularly well, but the performance of the cloth masks were absolutely horrendous. The scientists in the study collected enough data to conclude that the wearing of a cloth mask can potentially increase your risk of getting sick. But the question is, why? The researchers stated that, quote, moisture retention and poor filtration may result in increased risk of infection with cloth masks, and that cloth masks should not be recommended, end quote. The data shows that the cloth mask material actually creates a reservoir for pathogen growth, a wet, trapped environment where your own microbes, as well as pathogens from the environment around you, increasingly stick to the mask and colonize. Where in the natural world, your droplets would be diluted into the air.
Natural world.
You are, in essence, creating a wet microhabitat on your face that can make it even better at collecting other people's microbes on it.
Ew.
That's just what Dr. Richards was just saying.
Other people's microbes?
He was just talking about this.
By the way, so we were watching our governor yesterday.
That's back to the charts.
I know.
Play the charts again, Gabe. I mean,
right, and that's real.
You start putting the masks on, and what happens?
It spikes.
You guys remember I was talking about this past Wednesday about the poopy water?
Do you have to bring that up again?
I do, because I need to beat this dead horse. My turn. So the world can see a problem, but because they're steeped in sin, when they go to clean a situation, they are cleaning the situation and dipping the mop in poopy water and cleaning the floor. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
When this is what it looks like when unregenerate people try to solve problems. What they end up doing is putting something on your face that makes you more likely to catch the disease that you're trying to stay away from.
That's
the situation.
I'm completely convinced that hopefully within decades, but at least within centuries, people are going to look back on this moment and be like, there was this massive idiocy that overtook them.
Absolutely.
In the face of scientific studies.
That's right.
That all the way up to last fall, the WHO, the CDC were saying there are no scientific studies that demonstrate that widespread use of masks is useful for the public,
for the general population,
for these kind of transmitted sicknesses, especially not cloth masks.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And all the science says this, and then they go crazy. They go bat crazy.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And it's gonna be like how people used to like cut people and bleed them in the Middle Ages.
Oh yeah. Or how about this? Remember when they used to wear
put leeches on
them, and they're like, because why? Because we need to get the bad humors.
We need to bloodlet them.
It was totally based on completely crap science.
Just keep it in the mask situation. Remember those beak masks that we had?
Yeah.
That was the same sort of science.
They would put like herbs and stuff in there, because they thought if you breathed in the right herbs, it would sort of fight the.
And that actually makes way more sense to me than. I'm just saying. But so if you want to watch this video that we just played is about an hour long.
Yeah.
You can find it at themodelhealthshow.com/mask facts. You go there.
Say that one more time.
I'm not going to say it again only because I want people to go to the app, download the app where you can find the link and just click it and go to it, so you don't have to type it in. So that's why I'm not going to say it again, unless you're going to rewind this. But if you go to the website, this website has the best systematized way to grab all the information that you need on mass facts, all the studies, where mass actually started from, why they started them, if they actually work in regular situations with doctors, all of the randomized control testing. It's
and
right here.
He links to all the studies.
All the studies
and
are
everything.
right there on the website. Yep. It's not hard to find.
I've shared this website so many times.
But it does. So I was thinking about the fact that right now, if you take the narrative back just a few months, it almost feels like years, just a few months back to March, like you were saying, I was thinking there was no way that you would be able to get people to the place where you couldn't tell people that come November, the government is going to be telling you how many people you can have in your house on Thanksgiving.
Right.
If you would have,
it would never worked.
If we go back right now in time, and do you have that clip of the Jewish family?
The Jews.
In New York? Yeah, play that clip.
Yeah.
Right. You have a noise complaint. Can you step back? You're breathing in my face. I'm the one wearing a mask.
You have a glove. You have a glove. You have a face.
You're in my house.
To the owner here. But we had a complaint about vehicle parking in the front. Then I look up and you have over 10 people in a crowd.
So what?
Now it's an issue.
That's right.
What is the issue? Exactly.
The issue is...
This is not a party, there's no music, this is simply a simple thing. They have a few friends together. What is the issue that you need supposed to come into my house and tell me that it's okay for a police officer to walk into my house and say it's okay? When you are the police officer, you know the laws, you know the rules, you can't walk into my house and tell me that it's okay. If you would have been a normal person, you would have walked out and said, okay, can I talk to you? Fine, I can listen to you. Instead, you're just backing that up again and again.
We're past that.
We're past that.
You had a guest try to slam the door. Yeah, he tried to slam it on me. I'm trying to talk.
Because it ain't your house.
It's my house.
You were standing here when I came down. I didn't see anything.
I told you, can I come into the house?
You guys came in.
Let you know what your guest did. As he was walking out, he saw us, ran back inside and tried to...
See that I wish we could go.
I think it's from about a month ago.
Yeah, this is from about a month ago. I wish we can go back in time and talk to ourselves in March.
Yeah.
Because we got General Magic. Remember that film I keep talking about? Uncle Gary was talking. General Magic. That was the film where they understood cell phones, they knew watches, they understood the future of technology, and they said we're going to make a piece of technology that everybody needs, the cloud. They brought it out and released it, but no one bought it. No one had the foundations or the platform that they needed it in their lives whatsoever, right? They didn't need it. And so what happened was 17 years later, the iPod came out.
Right.
And MP3 players first. And Steve Jobs saw the opportunity now to start discipling people to cell phones, to the cloud, to all these platforms. Well, this is what's happened to us, except it's happened in a negative way. They have slowly started bringing in and ushering a platform to do this to us.
Right.
We would have never accepted this back in March.
We're going to be checking on your family gatherings to see if you have more than 10 people in there.
We would have, if a governor would have told us that we are going to have a Thanksgiving with 10 people in our home, we would have said, you done lost your whole mind. You better get from here.
Or you can't even do it inside. You have to do it in a park.
You have to do it outside. Hey, and if they would have given us a way to handle the food and how to cook our food and who can touch the food and who can't, if they would have told us that back in March, we would have said, you know what? Y'all done.
We're going to take our risks.
If you think Black Lives Matter is crazy, we about to show y'all crazy.
Yeah, exactly. The governor of California is recommending that everyone bring their own dishes to the Thanksgiving and eat out of your own dishes.
Knox, I really want to think that you're right, but here's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
We just elected Joe Biden.
I know. But wait. That's even. We did that,
and
because they used it.
He's writing though. He's writing on his platform was shutdowns and mask mandates.
Yeah. We
just I mean but
that's even
6 months of it though.
I think that's proving my point. We turned so fast because they did this so well. They did it so incrementally. We just, hey guys, and the way that Jay was talking about it too, they used the very love your neighbor.
Right.
They used the Christian standard to bring in this.
Right. Yeah. People who think it's fine to murder a baby up to the day before it's born.
But they didn't drop it on us at one time. They They gradually brought it in to the point that now we're like, oh, wow, I guess we got to. And they used fear to do it. And so, like, you're right. We did select Joe Biden, but we did it over a period of time of being discipled. And we should have
really fast discipleship program.
That's actually what scares me.
Which means that we were primed for it.
Well, you know what?
We were ready
That's
for it.
exactly right. A man that has an affair with a woman doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
Yeah. No,
but something happens that triggers because he's already allowed a certain foundation to be built up.
He got there in his heart and his mind
He's
first.
been lying and lusting and lying and lusting and justifying and making excuses for a long time.
That's right.
And so, like, when I look at this, I'm like, man, they have. So our way out of this, as I think about this, I'm trying to figure out, we can't, I want to flip the switch and it happens and it goes back to normal, or at least some form of new sanctified normal. But I think the process is still going to have to be the same. And it can happen within 9 months. But I'm trying to figure out what is the thing that, and that's why I'm asking Jay, and we keep talking about this. Where's the inroad here to get this? And I'm hoping right now in this season, in this Thanksgiving season, this Christmas season coming up, I'm looking at the church and I'm saying churches have to see this and have to say, wait a second, these guys are not elders in our churches.
Right.
They're not deacons. They're not our head. They're not our gods. Why are our doors closed?
Right.
Why are we listening?
Who gets to decide who doesn't go to grandma's funeral?
Right. No, we have brought this on ourselves. We have chosen it.
Yeah.
We have chosen it. We deserve this.
Absolutely.
I still keep thinking that I'm going to wake up and this is just all one wild, crazy dream. You know? I mean, what America do we live in where our mayor on March 20th and the city council voted to shut down businesses in downtown?
The kind of America that's afraid of its own shadow.
They told my buddy that he could not work and provide for his family in the name of his health.
Yeah.
Right.
While our mayor continued to take his taxpayer-funded paycheck.
We let them, and they represent us rightly.
On March 25th, our governor shut down all the businesses in Idaho. Non-essential businesses in Idaho.
Right. Unless you're a liquor store.
Yeah. Wow. Or a pot shop in California.
Right.
Or a casino in Nevada.
Or abortion clinics.
What America do we live in?
But we have an opportunity coming up in this season to start turning the ship. Regardless of who's president, it don't really matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. But
Marching
first things
orders
that's got to happen, church has got to start having church again.
Yeah, we need to get some chutzpah.
But it's going to
like our Jewish.
Those my people. But
that's right.
In our homes, we need to set apart Christ as Lord. And we need to do that in such a way that when we start having our Sabbath dinners, we are throwing massive parties and inviting people to come in and experience and taste the glory of God in our homes.
Right.
And then we need to go to church the next day and worship God like he's God. You know what I mean? And then we need to go to work on Monday and serve God with our hands at work on Monday, and then love our wives. Repent of our sins to our wives and to our kids. You want to do something radical? Daddy, start repenting of your own sins.
Well, that's the thing is we started this show talking about the idolatry that's in all this. This is a religious problem.
That's right.
We have a religious problem.
That's right.
All politics is fundamentally religious. It's all serves a God. It's all based on a morality. It's all based on who God is, what is truth, what is goodness, what is beauty. And so you can't go down this path without worshiping a ton of idols, without having a ton of sin. Why are people afraid? Because they're guilty. They're guilty. We've said this before, but they're afraid because they know they deserve God's judgment. They know they're not under God's blessing, and they know they deserve to die. They know they deserve for their plans not to be established because they're not in fellowship with God. And so the only way to be free of your fear is to have your sins forgiven.
That's right.
And that's also the only way to be able to see clearly and think clearly.
Come on now, preach, man.
Sinners are stupid.
That's right.
Right? That's what Romans 1 says. It says that when we think we know better and we worship the creation and serve the creation instead of the creator, God turns us over to our insanity. And thinking that we're wise, we become utter fools.
That's right.
And then you have two dudes humping each other.
That's right.
I mean, that's what you get.
Right. Insanity.
It's that kind of insanity. It's the self-destructive insanity. But we've been celebrating that kind of insanity, and you can't celebrate it out there.
That's right.
When we celebrated it for decades, we said, you have the right to murder your babies. Two dudes can shack up. And it doesn't matter. It's whatever private choices are. You can't do that for decades and then not reap this.
That's right.
This is the seed we've been sowing for all these decades. And this is what you get. You get government in your bedroom. You get government in your church. You get government telling you what to have on your face.
Right.
And what they're having you do is actually hurting you.
That's right.
It's actually making you more sick. And here's the insanity. Piles and piles of Christians are going along with it.
That's right.
And they're the ones saying, love your neighbor. I don't know. I just think you should love your neighbor. No, that's hating your neighbor.
That's right.
What you're actually doing is all the actual scientific evidence that there is that cloth masks actually make people sick.
Yep.
Right? What kind of idiots do we have to be?
No, we just want you to look like you're loving your neighbor.
Right.
We
And
don't actually
actually harming them.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, if that's the actual science and that's all the science we actually have, then that's what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So who's loving their neighbor?
Yeah. We our only way out of this that I can see, because I'm looking for all the political moves, but I think we don't even have vision because we don't have the right type of, we're not repenting of our sins. When I can't see something, the first thing I start thinking about is like, Lord, where's there sin in my life? Right. If there's sin in my life, can you point it out so I can repent of it? Right. Because I don't have any vision of how to move right now. And so, Lord, help me see clearly. Right. And so when you start doing that, then all of a sudden you start saying, okay, like, how am I doing with my family? You check in there. Right. You know, Nate was on the show last week and said, husbands, how many times have you been short-tempered with your wives? Yep. You know, like, it's like, oh, okay, well, let me check on that. How have you been? I was talking to Darren Down. He's like, you know what? I've just realized that I need to spend more time being very, very one-on-one with my kids. And really, because if I don't win there, then I don't win. And it's like, there's so many things like that we can see out here. Like, where's the political moves? But the basic, most important political move we can have is to be sincere about our love towards God and our families at home. There isn't anything more important than that.
And the thing to remember, though, is that if God is with you, then there's more on your side than on the other side.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. This is what Deuteronomy promised. It said when God's with you, 5 guys will chase 1,000.
Yep.
Right. But if God's not with you, then 5 guys can chase 1,000. The other way.
Yeah.
That's what's happened. You were talking about the stats earlier. I mean, LGBT is 3% of the population or whatever, 2% of the population. And they're chasing millions and millions of professing Christians.
That's right.
Why? Because God's not with us.
Yeah.
But when you say, well, I haven't repented for a long time, my family's a mess, I haven't been walking with God right, my church is a mess, whatever. It's like, but when Christians humble themselves and they repent and they just start putting tiny little baby steps, one step in front of the other, and they say, God, I'm going to obey you today. I'm going to confess my sin today. I'm going to have a clean heart today. I'm going to love my wife today. I'm going to love my kids today. There is a disproportionate effect. It's disproportionately powerful.
Yeah,
particularly when men humble themselves and obey God. God blesses them. God's with them. And that's how you end up with like 11 fishermen. Who take over the Roman Empire.
Yeah. It's not just a metaphor. When God says walk in the light, he's saying that so you can see.
It's just a metaphor.
Right?
Amen.
You say men particularly because we want to be like the second Adam who took responsibility for his bride and not like the first Adam who didn't. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Download the app. Become a member.
You're going to want all those links.
Share the show.
We did not design a cookie-cutter curriculum meant to chop students into appropriately shaped submissives or snowflakes for the secular zeitgeist. We designed our curriculum the way we did because we want our graduates to be equipped to stand courageously against that destructive zeitgeist and to honor their maker and how they, body, mind, and soul, battle to save their communities and the entire Western world from our current diseased insanity. New St. Andrews College is not in the business of rubber stamping graduates for this particular job market or that particular career. We aren't happy unless our graduates are equipped to tackle any constructive cultural task anywhere, from courtrooms to hospitals to job sites to movie sets to the highest risk job and the most important setting of all, the raising and training of the next generation of immortal souls around dining room tables and in pews. The world may have gone mad, but it's not the first time. It has been saved before and by particular people, many of whom shared a very particular type of education. Augustine, Calvin, Jefferson, Churchill, and many lesser-known heroes in times of madness all had one type of education, one type of training in common. And it's the same kind of rigorous education we currently pursue surrounded by the rolling wheat fields of Idaho. By God's grace, our civilization will be saved, or rebuilt, from the smoking ruins. The men and women capable of such a task, capable of fearless joy and fiery laughter, all while undertaking such hard cultural labor, those are the kind of graduates we want, the kind we expect. They are why we exist, and why we teach what we teach. So you might call it a major in world building, or culture shaping, or a major in saving civilization. We call it classical Christian liberal arts. New St. Andrews College, saving civilization since 1994.